Okay, welcome everyone. It's now time for case 30. The penultimate case. The Wrath of Khan. Matthew, according to the latest update from Kai and Penelope, Mongolia and China are on the brink of war. Ogedai Khan is amassing his troops in front of the Great Wall. And thanks to Amon's 18th century weapons, which the Khan's engineers have been replicating, China barely stands a chance. If Amon's plan is successful, China will be eliminated, meaning it'll never become a rival superpower to Egypt. We recruited Japanese allies to support the Chinese forces, but who knows if it's enough to withstand the Mongolians' attack. And to make matters worse, Theo has started fading away, and we still don't know why. I assumed it was because his ancestor, Princess Torgoljin, was hurt, which might have meant that Theo was never born, but she's doing fine. Don't worry, Amy. We're keeping a close eye on Theo. Only his hand and arm have disappeared so far, so we've still got time to figure it out. You're right, Matthew. Right now we need to focus on persuading Ogedai Khan to call off his attack. We're on it. Matthew, let's suit up and head outside. Matthew, it's strange to imagine the Chinese and Japanese gearing up for war on the other side of the Great Wall. Not only will thousands of lives be lost if we can't convince Ogedai Khan to put a stop to hostilities, but it'll mean Amon has succeeded in breaking the timeline for good. Now Kai and Penelope must be around. Matthew, I've been looking all over for you. Amon? What can we do for you, O Great Khan? I've just heard that the Chinese have killed my Spanish explorer Santiago on that confounded wall of theirs. Santiago is one of my trusted friends, along with Amon here. How dare those foreigners lay a hand on him? I'll kill them all. Let us not be hasty, O Great Khan. Matthew and I will find the culprit, but as for Amon here, don't listen to a word they say, O Great Khan. They are vicious, lying... Quiet. Matthew returned my daughter to me, so I will entrust them with discovering who killed Santiago. But my good friend Amon's reputation will not be called into question without solid proof. Is that clear? Now I won't attack until the culprit is found, but if it's the Chinese, I'll kill them all not once, but twice. Matthew, this is all we need. Sanchez is dead. And if it turns out that the Chinese killed him, the Khan's wrath will be unstoppable. I know Sanchez had mentioned being close to the Khan, but I had no idea they were such good friends. If you ask me, Ogedai Khan's just looking for more reasons to attack the Chinese. Either way, the Khan won't listen to a word we say until we find Sanchez's killer, so we better get to work. Good thing we're on friendly terms with the Chinese, Matthew, because we need to climb the Great Wall. Here he is. Got it. That's Sanchez all right, Matthew. He's been beaten to a pulp. If the Chinese really did this, then there's no way we'll be able to prevent Ogedai Khan from wiping out China and forever breaking the timeline. So let's hope it can prove otherwise. That fire pit might have been knocked over in the struggle. Be careful of those hot coals if you want to look inside. And those jade pieces could tell us who came up here. Can you put them back together, Matthew? I gotta get some stars, so sit tight, everybody. Alright, I got 7 stars, so let's get this out of the get these 2 out of the way. Judging by the writing on the bottom, this is some kind of seal, Matthew. It reads, "The Emperor receives the command. He who has virtue prospers." Right, this must be the Imperial Seal of China. Only the Emperor would have had this in his possession. Emperor Lizong must have been up here. I hope he didn't have anything to do with Sanchez's murder, but we'd better question him to make sure. Emperor Lizong, I'm afraid we must speak with you regarding a murder. A murder? We're on the cusp of a war which I am totally unprepared for. Why should I care about one measly death? Because the victim, explorer Santiago Sanchez, was a close friend of Ogadai Khan's. Since he was found dead on your wall, the Khan believes you are responsible. This is ridiculous. We may have kidnapped his daughter, but we had nothing to do with Sanchez's death. Well, we did find your Imperial Seal on the wall near the body. You didn't spot anything out of the ordinary while you were up there? Out of the ordinary? Nothing apart from the thousands of Mongolians on the other side, ready to attack at any moment. Now, if we're done, I have an army to rouse. Well, that was useless, Matthew. Well, that was useless. Matthew, if you think we should learn more about Sanchez, let's return to the Mongolian camp. You know, I should have gone with the fire pit first, but oh well. Them's the breaks. In the long run, it doesn't even matter. I gotta get this. Got it. Gotta get this out. Get these out of the way and such. Matthew, what's that fabric among the coals? You're right. That's Sanchez's hat. It was missing when we found the body. There's a good chance our killer might have handled the hat, which means we'd better get it to the lab. Amy says Theo is insisting he's fine to work, despite that most of his arm has vanished. Man, I still can't wrap my head around that. Sending Theo the hat will be a good excuse to check on him. Let's go. Oh, there we go. Didn't get the first star, was a little too slow. Matthew, the note on this bundle of silk has Sanchez's name on it. Can you recover the rest of the writing? And those goblets look Spanish to me, which means they must have belonged to Sanchez too. But who is he drinking with? Collecting some of those crumbs might give us a lead. Matthew, why wasn't I informed of Sanchez's murder? I can't... missing crucial information. General Subutai, we'd be happy to explain the situation to you. I'm gonna have to get a few more stars, so sit tight. After I share this, so sit tight. Okay, now I got myself up to 7 stars, so let's examine the Spanish goblets first. Oh boy. There we go. Matthew, let's hope putting those crumbs you collected from Sanchez's goblets under the microscope will tell us who he was drinking with. We need all the suspects we can get. Tamea. Matthew, those crumbs on Sanchez's goblets are from an Egyptian dish called tamea. Why does that sound familiar? Oh, right. We discovered that Amon has a liking for tamea back when we investigated the murder at his apartment back in 2029. Or should I say, forward in 2029. Clearly, Amon brought some home comforts with him, and the fact they were on Sanchez's goblets gives us the perfect excuse to question him about the murder. Let's go. Something tells me that he is behind this. He is the mastermind, but we'll see what happens. Okay. So you finally caught up with me, Matthew. I hear you've been playing the knight in shining armor. Dear Princess Torgoshin is so very grateful. Cut it out, Amon. We know you orchestrated her kidnapping so that Ogadai Khan would be even more hell-bent on destroying the Chinese. Of course I did. Thanks to me, Ogadai Khan will crush the Chinese into oblivion and Egypt will rise to power unchallenged. Trade routes or no trade routes. Don't count on it. Now tell us about Sanchez. We know you met him for a drink before his death. Whatever I was doing with Sanchez, it doesn't matter. You can't use your science to prove anything to the Khan. Now please stop wasting my time. A war is coming, Matthew, whether you like it or not. Matthew, if Amon wants evidence, we'll find it. That'll wipe that smug smile off his face. It will. Death seems to follow you around, Matthew. First my eldest wife, and now Sanchez. Trust him to get murdered just as we're preparing our attack. Did you know Sanchez personally, General? The Khan has a weakness for these exotic types. First Sanchez, then that Amon character. He held secret meetings with them that I, his most trusted general, was excluded from. My back pain flared up with the indignity of it all, and no amount of Cinnabar could make it go away. And now Sanchez is dead, and the Khan is all worked up over it. If I'm not careful, he'll launch the attack on the Chinese before the troops are ready. Strategy wins wars, Matthew, not emotion. If the Khan allows his anger to cloud his judgment, it could ruin everything. Matthew, that note from Sanchez on the bundle of silk is addressed to Kai. The message is in broken English. It says, "That is the perfect regal for your friends." I think he means this silk will make a good gift, Matthew. It never occurred to me that Kai might have gotten friendly with Sanchez, but it makes sense. He and Penelope have been with the Mongolians for weeks. With all that's gone on, we haven't had the time to debrief with Kai yet. Let's go ask him about Sanchez. Matthew, there you are. I was worried Theo might fade away before you got here. I need to see him. I'm sure Theo will be delighted to see you too, Kai. But right now we're in a serious pickle. Sanchez has been murdered and the Khan is gearing up to attack the Chinese over it. Right, I heard about Santiago's murder. It'd be disastrous for the timeline if the Khan attacked now. That's why we need to solve this murder. We found this silk Sanchez gave you. Had the two of you become friends? Not especially. I happened to mention in passing that I was looking for a gift for Theo and Zara, and Santiago kindly offered me the silk to make them dressing gowns with. Matthew, I had no idea things were so close to breaking point with the Khan until this murder happened. I was more worried about Theo fading than anything. I only wish you'd arrived sooner. Things are certainly moving quicker than we'd anticipated, but now your work here is done. You should head back to the time machine to be with Theo. Matthew and I can handle the investigation. Thanks, Matthew. If anyone can stop this war and save the timeline, it's you. And we will. I'll let these two run their courses, so for now, this is Matthew. I'll see you soon. Okay, we have returned. Let's get the results of the autopsy. Matthew, every little noise I hear makes me jump. I'm worried the battle might start at any moment. The Khan has assured us that he'll hold off for the minute, but our best shot at stopping this madness once and for all is to prove the Chinese had nothing to do with Sanchez's death. Well, Sanchez was beaten to death with a blunt, rounded weapon, and having compared his injuries to weapons of this era, I'm confident he was killed with a meteor hammer. A meteor hammer? What's that? It's a type of chain weapon with two weights attached, and judging by the damage your killer did with it, they must be in good shape. So our killer is fit, are they? I don't fancy their chance of outrunning Matthew. Matthew, you'll never guess what. I've stopped fading. Are you sure? 'Cause you're still missing an arm. Well, yes, my left arm is still gone, but nothing else is faded in hours. I'm sure of it. I hope you're right. Anyway, I feel bad for asking, but did you have time to examine the victim's hat? Yes, I found traces of fermented rice starch on the hat. In other words, there was rice wine on it. And since Janice confirmed that there was no rice wine in your victim's stomach, it must have come from your killer. So our killer drinks rice wine. We'll toast their arrest, Matthew. Matthew, we came here hoping to foil Amon's plan to destroy China by persuading Ogadai Khan to call off his attack. But we arrived to find his favorite explorer, Santiago Sanchez, beaten to death on the Great Wall. If the killer turns out to be Chinese, nothing will stop the Khan laying siege to the wall. But if somebody else killed Sanchez, maybe we can still convince the Khan to call the whole thing off. And once again, we've come face to face with Amon, our time-traveling nemesis. He doesn't deny manipulating the Khan into declaring war, but we don't have any proof of his involvement in the murder. Even Subutai is skeptical of Amon's influence over the Khan, but there's nothing he can do. Ogadai Khan is completely under Amon's spell, and he's ready to attack at the slightest provocation. And then there's Theo. His condition is stabilized, but we still have no idea what's causing it or how to reverse it. Anyway, oh! Matthew, someone sent us a message. Wow. I'll see you guys for Chapter 2. Don't go anywhere. And we've returned. Let's start Chapter 2 of The Wrath of Khan. It's from the Japanese shogun, Tokiko Gojo. She's demanding to see us on the other side of the wall. We better hope nobody sees us sneak over there again. Matthew, you owe me an explanation. You practically begged me to come to China's aid. And now I find you fraternizing with the enemy. I nearly spat my rice wine out when I heard. I know how this looks, but we can explain. See, Matthew and I are hoping war can be avoided if we can talk Ogedai Khan out of it. War is in the Khan's nature, Matthew. Everybody knows a leopard can't change its spots. It has been more complicated than we hoped. The Khan's close friend, Santiago Sanchez, was found murdered on the Great Wall, and he's demanding to know who is responsible. Sanchez the Explorer, he visited Japan a couple of months ago. He took advantage of our hospitality for a few weeks, then disappeared back to Mongolia as soon as the Khan sent for him. I haven't seen hide nor hair of him since. Well, the Khan believes the Chinese and Japanese are responsible for his murder. Nonsense! Take a look around our camp to see for yourselves that we had nothing to do with it. There we go. And I still got the first star. This looks like the Chinese and Japanese armory. Unfortunately, those katanas won't be much use against the 18th century weapons Amon has given the Mongolians. But wait, that weapon you picked up has blood on it, Matthew. Janice told us Sanchez was beaten with a rounded weapon called a meteor hammer. And this must be it. You found our murder weapon. This gives weight to Ogedai Khan's suspicions of Chinese involvement in Sanchez's murder. But it's not solid proof. Can you collect some of those flakes on the weapon, Matthew? And if you think that paper might be a clue, let's put it back together. Take care of everything now. Get it over with. Photo. This is a sketch of Ogedai Khan and his closest advisors, Matthew. Since we found it here in the Chinese camp, do you reckon the Emperor was using it to study the enemy? Look, there's Amon, and Sanchez's circle, but what's that written next to him? Apparently it says, the weak link in Chinese. Matthew, if the Chinese Emperor might have written this, we need to question him about it. I'd like to think we have all our suspects. We'll see what happens though. Emperor Lizong, can you explain why you wrote this note calling Sanchez the weak link? Ah yes, you found my tactical planning. Your tactical planning? Well, yes, I've been trying to prove myself to my troops somehow, you see. Show them my lack of military training doesn't mean a lack of courage. So I procured a list of Ogadai Khan's most trusted advisors to figure out which one to eliminate. Subutai and Amon were clearly out of the question. They're both in far better shape than me. But killing a Spanish explorer seemed easy enough. So it was you who killed him? Oh no, my nerves failed me, I'm afraid. But since Ogadai Khan plans to attack us either way, you might as well tell my men that I'm responsible for Sanchez's death. It'll boost morale better than the rice wine I love so much. With any luck, these white flakes from the murder weapon will give us the lead on our killer, Matthew. Let's get the flakes to Theo and check up on him in the process. 12 hours. I'll see you guys when this is done. I'll see y'all soon. Okay, we've come back. Let's get the results of the white flakes. I keep half expecting to start fading again, Matthew, but so far so good. Nothing has reappeared, but nothing else has faded either. That's good to hear, and I promise we'll figure out why you started fading and how to reverse it. But for now, what have you got on those white flakes we sent you from the murder weapon? Well, those flakes are actually pieces of human nails. Human nails? Gross. Gross, but useful. Since Sanchez's nails are in perfect condition, it must be our killer who's a nail biter, Matthew. Our killer bites their nails, eh? No wonder they're nervous, with Matthew on their tail. Matthew, we need more leads if we're to avert this war. Let's look around the Mongolian camp again. I got the first star anyway. Matthew, look at that map. There's a knife stuck in it. And it's been plunged right into Spain, Sanchez's home country. Talk about a threat. Maybe vacuuming up that powder on the map can tell us who did this, Matthew. As for that food, if you think a clue might be hidden inside, we need to look through it. Got it. I know Theo has stopped fading for the moment, but I don't want to overwork him, Matthew. Let's get that powder you collected from the map to Janice instead. She'll tell us you stuck that knife in Spain.
Tablet. Matthew, that's one of our time tablets among that food. It's not like Kai or Penelope to leave modern technology lying around in a medieval Mongolian camp. Let's take a closer look at the tablet to see what's going on. Well, you gotta hope they're not goofing around or something. Like romance. Oh gosh. There's no doubt about it, this tablet belongs to Penelope. There's one of her stories on it. Theodotus drew another ragged breath. Would the next one be his last? He longed for Cain to wrap him in his arms one last time before he disappeared entirely. Is it me, or do Theodotus and Cain sound a lot like Theo and Kai? Theo and Kai. She must have written this story about them. Theodotus Cain exclaimed as he burst through the door. I know why you're fading. Matthew, I know this is only fiction, but could Penelope have figured out why Theo was fading? Let's read on. We need to stop your great-great-great-grandmother from falling in love with that Spaniard at all costs. Is Penelope saying that Princess Torgoljin had fallen in love with Sanchez? Of course! If the princess fell in love with Sanchez, then she would have married Theo's ancestor, and Theo would never be born. That's why he was fading. And that's why he stopped fading as soon as Sanchez died. Alright, Matthew, we all know Penelope has a talent for writing romance, but this doesn't sound like fiction, more like a theory about the real Theo fading. And if the real Kai knew about this, who's to say how far he'd go to save Theo? You're right, Matthew. It's time to talk to Kai again. Something's telling me that Kai is not the one. He doesn't even... Well, he might fit the killer being fit. So, we found Penelope's story. Did you know Princess Torgoljin was falling in love with Sanchez? Ah, so you found out about that, Matthew. Well, the truth is that Penelope burst into my tent one day while I was exercising and said she'd figured out why Theo was fading. She noticed the princess's longing glances and Sanchez's hand on her arm and concluded that if their romance was left to blossom, it'd result in Theo never being born. So Penelope insisted I talk to Sanchez, persuade him to leave the princess alone. And did you? I tried. I bit my nails to the quick, trying to find a convincing argument, but Sanchez wouldn't listen. He was determined to marry her. The thought of letting Theo down was too much to bear. I ended up drinking myself to sleep with rice wine that night. Kai, tell us you didn't kill Sanchez to make sure Theo would live? Of course not, but I won't lie, I'm glad he's dead. Oh boy, now Kai's in the running. But then again, I think if memory serves, he's on the top 5 for the characters that are on there. I'm pretty sure. But anyway, we'll find out if Kai's really the killer. My gut says no, but we'll see what happens. We've seen stranger things happen. Well, I'll let the red powder run its course. For now, this is Matthew. I'll see you soon. And we're back. Let's get the results of the red powder from Janice. Matthew, I know you've got a lot on your plate at the minute between Theo's condition and Sanchez's murder, so I'll make this quick. That powder from the vandalized map of Spain is mercury sulfide, otherwise known as cinnabar. It's highly toxic, but that didn't stop the Mongolians from using it as a pain reliever during this period. You're right, Matthew. Mongolian General Subutai mentioned using cinnabar to treat his back pain earlier. Subutai didn't mention arguing with the victim, but clearly he was hiding something. Let's question him. General, you made out like you didn't care about Sanchez earlier. So why do we find your knife stuck in his home country? Because Sanchez needed to stop filling Ogadai Khan's head with tales of faraway lands. See, whenever the Khan gets it into his head that he wants to invade somewhere new, who has to do all the legwork? Me! The stress of it all was getting to me. The thought of having to plan yet another military campaign had me biting my nails. So I told Sanchez that if he didn't pipe down, us Mongols would invade Spain next. But let me guess, you realize that it'd be easier to just kill him instead. Is that it? I'm a man of honor, Matthew. If I'd wanted to kill Sanchez, I'd have challenged him publicly, not beaten him to death in the shadows. Matthew, we came here to prevent Ogadai Khan from waging war on China. But he's angrier than ever after discovering that Santiago Sanchez has been murdered on the Great Wall. Chinese Emperor Lizong thought about killing the victim to win the admiration of his troops, but he says he didn't go through with it. General Subutai, meanwhile, wanted Sanchez to stop filling the Khan's head with dreams of foreign conquests. And then there's Kai. He discovered that the budding romance between Sanchez and Princess Torgoljan was the reason for Theo's fading. On the upside, Sanchez's death means that Theo's condition should remain stable. But the flip side is that we don't know why he hasn't returned to normal. Perhaps the princess... Matthew, I've been looking everywhere for you. Princess Torgoljan, how can we help you? I know who killed Santiago. For a minute I thought she was going to accuse us. At least I hope she doesn't. We'll find out in Chapter 3. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we are back. Let's start Chapter 3 of The Wrath of Khan. We last left off with Princess Torgoljan saying that she knows this was it. What? You know who the killer is? Yes. It's your friend Kai something. I saw him argue with Santiago, telling him to leave me alone. How dare he try to stand in the way of our love? He must have killed Santiago. He must have. I'm going to tell my father right this second. He'll put Kai to death for me. I'm sure of it. Princess, let's not be hasty. Yes, Kai and Sanchez fought, but there's no proof that Kai killed him. Please, let us do our job. We'll bring the culprit to justice, whoever they are. Fine, but you'd better do it fast, or your friend is dead. Oh man, this is another problem we didn't need, Matthew. We better prove Kai's innocence and fast. Let's go back to the Chinese camp. For once, I almost hope we don't find anything here, which leads us to our killer, Matthew. If Sanchez's murder turns out to be the Emperor or the Shogun, then Ogadai Khan will destroy China. But if it's Amon or Subutai, the Khan probably won't believe us. And if it's Kai, I can't bear to think what might happen. I know, I need to focus. What's that paper you picked up, Matthew? That's Amon's name. We need to recover the rest of the text. And this box is addressed to Sanchez. We better unlock it. Matthew, if we're to have any chance of stopping this war, we better get down to work. All right. Got it. This letter from Amon is written in Chinese, Matthew. We know he's been stirring tensions on both sides. Was he communicating with the Emperor too? There's not a moment to lose. Let's get this letter to Orlando. Moment, folks. Okay. One, 5, 5, 1, 5. There we are. 1, 5, 4. 5, 1. Got it. This box addressed to Sanchez seems to contain some kind of herbal infusion, Matthew, but the smell is weird. You're right. We need to see exactly what this infusion contains. Let's look up those flower buds in an encyclopedia. Poisonous flowers.
Matthew, these flowers in the tea sent to Sanchez are known as the Dahlia of Death. The flower became extinct in the 1800s, but before that it was commonly used to poison people, often with fatal consequences. And what's more, the only place the flower is known to have grown is Japan. Matthew, our only Japanese suspect is Tokiko Gojo, but why would she have tried to poison Sanchez? You're right, we need to see what Tokiko has to say for herself. Tokiko, we found this herbal infusion you intended to send to Sanchez. You complain about him taking advantage of your hospitality, but surely that's not reason enough to poison him. Look, we're on the brink of war, Matthew. We're outnumbered, under-equipped, and being led by an emperor who even I'm strong enough to take in a fight. I couldn't risk the Mongolians gaining another advantage over us. What do you mean? When Sanchez arrived in Japan, he seemed harmless, so we never took care to hide anything from him, including our military secrets. But when we agreed to fight alongside China, I realized that Sanchez needed to be eliminated before he told the Khan everything he knew. So I made that concoction disguised as tea, taking care not to bite my nails in case I ingested any of it. But before I could send it, you came to tell me he'd been murdered. Wow. So we'll see you guys when Amon's message is done. For now, this is Matthew. See you soon. And we've returned. Let's get the results of Amon's message. Matthew, you were right about Amon corresponding with the Chinese emperor. His message reads, I implore you to follow my guidance the way your first minister did. If you want to win this war, distract Ogadai Khan by killing Sanchez. What? So Amon is the reason the emperor singled Sanchez out as a target? Trust Amon to try and get somebody else to do his dirty work for him. He must have known Sanchez's death would infuriate the Khan even further. But the emperor claimed he couldn't go through with the murder. So what if Amon took matters into his own hands? Matthew, Amon gloated earlier about us not being able to convince the Khan with science, but this is evidence even he'd understand. Let's go make him squirm. Why you're bothering with this investigation, Matthew. You must know that the timeline is beyond repair. But I'll indulge you one last time before I join the Khan for a cup of rice wine. What do you want? We found your letter urging the Chinese emperor to kill Sanchez. We've got you, Amon. Ha! Of course I did. But so what? I only need to tell the Khan that this is a forgery, and he'll believe me. You really think you're untouchable, don't you? Why, yes, I do. I've been the Khan's most trusted advisor for weeks. I've twisted his mind against the Chinese so much that he'll never believe they're innocent. You haven't won yet, and if you had anything to do with Sanchez's death, we'll find proof that'll convince even the Khan. Mark my words. Yes, you do that. Such suspense. I'll be biting my nails from the stress of it all. Matthew, it seems pretty much all of our suspects wanted Sanchez dead. Even the Shogun, Tokiko Gojo, planned to poison Sanchez, but she claims somebody else got to him first. And I still can't believe that Amon tried to convince the Chinese emperor to do his dirty work for him. To
top it all off, we now need to clear Kai's name before Princess Torgoljin has him executed by her father. We must get to the bottom of this murder, Matthew. Let's take another look around the crime scene. Got it. Matthew, that broken bottle has blood on it. We better put it back together at once. And wait, didn't Sanchez used to wear a brooch just like this? Yes, I'm positive it's his. If he lost it in the struggle, collecting a sample of those skin cells might give us a lead on our killer. Matthew, we're getting closer to discovering who killed Sanchez. Let's just hope the Chinese aren't to blame, or Ogadai Khan will obliterate them. Got it. Matthew, finding these skin cells on Sanchez's brooch is a stroke of luck. If Janice can use them to ID our killer, we might be able to stop this war. Skin cells, 15 hours. Broken bottle now. Got it. What do you think that bottle used to contain, Matthew? And why is there blood on it? Do you think that blood could be Sanchez's? Let's get the bottle to Theo and find out. And I'll see you guys when both of these are done. For now, this is Matthew. See you soon. Okay, we are back. Let's get the results of the skin cells and let's put a killer behind bars. Janice, we're on the home stretch here. If we can solve Sanchez's murder, we might be able to save China from being wiped out. What have you got for us on those skin cells Matthew collected from Sanchez's brooch? Well, the little DNA I found was not a match for Sanchez. But by examining the collagen levels, I can tell you that the skin cells belong to someone under 30. Matthew, your killer is younger than 30. Our killer is under 30. That'll narrow down the suspect list, Matthew. Alright. Matthew, I'm grateful that you've discovered the budding romance between Princess Torgoljin and Sanchez was why I began to fade. But in that case, I don't understand why my arm didn't reappear after Sanchez's death. We don't know either, but I'm afraid we can't look into it until we figure out who killed Sanchez, and we'd better hope it's not Kai. I'm sure Kai wouldn't have resorted to violence, Matthew, not even to save me. Anyway, I'm sure you want to hear about that bloody bottle. The blood was indeed your victim's, and there were traces of rice wine on the inside. This bottle definitely came from your killer. But what's more, I found tiny traces of green fibers mixed in with the blood. And as your victim wasn't wearing green, your killer must have left them on the bottle. So our killer is wearing green, just like Kai. I guess we'll know who's responsible soon enough. I hope it's not Kai. Matthew, our only shot at restoring the timeline depends on getting this right. Let's arrest Santiago Sanchez's killer. Okay, let's see. It isn't Emperor Luzon, not Subutai. Okay, it isn't Kai. Phew. Okay. We know it's not Kai because he's 33. A couple years older than I am, for the record. Killer is under 30. Amon Bast is 26. We've been waiting for this. Time's up, Amon. You're under arrest for the murder of Santiago Sanchez. Alright, I see this little game of ours has come to an end, Matthew. I confess, I killed Sanchez. I'm sure you found proof, like the good little detectives you are. Yes, we have evidence that'll convince even the Khan of your treachery. We've got the letter you sent to the Chinese First Minister, convincing him to kidnap Princess Torgoljin. And the message you delivered to the Chinese Emperor suggesting he kill Sanchez. But what's more, we know we can convince the Khan that you handled the murder weapon. Ha! Good luck with that. Even if you do manage to convince the Khan, it won't make a difference. He'll never stand down this close to battle. You think you're so clever. Ever since you sabotaged our time machine back in 47 BCE, you've been a thorn in our side. But you didn't count on us fixing our time machine or getting Nefertiti arrested, did you? And we managed to escape that twisted alternate present the pair of you had created. The twisted alternate present the pair of you had created. See, you aren't as smart as you think you are, Amon. Not to mention that we stopped you from taking over the trade routes in the age of sail. I'll admit that you've been more challenging than Nefertiti or I expected, but none of it matters now. Say you do manage to get the Khan to call off his attack. I've changed the course of history already. You'll never be able to put it back. We'll see about that. Matthew, let's get into the Khan. Oh, great Khan, we have found Sanchez's killer. Your two-faced advisor, Amon, killed him. I told them you'd never believe their lies. We both know the Chinese are responsible for this act of war. Quiet, Amon. What proof do you have, Matthew? We have evidence that Amon orchestrated your daughter's kidnapping by the Chinese First Minister, and proof that he tried to trick the Chinese Emperor into killing Sanchez. He hoped to pin the murder on him so that you'd attack China. I cannot believe you dared to deceive me, Amon. I welcomed you under my roof and you whispered lies into my ear. You endangered my daughter. You were all too happy to have another excuse to attack China, and you didn't complain when I gave you those weapons. It's not my fault that you took so long to attack. I had to kill Sanchez to give you that extra push. Nobody betrays the Khan and lives. Wait, no! Oh, great Khan! Betrayal cannot go unpunished, Matthew. Matthew, Amon...
Amon's dead! Now, whether the Chinese kill Sanchez or not, I didn't come all this way to lose face. We've wasted enough time. We attacked China at sunset. We'll see you guys for the Art of War 5-5. And we return. Let's start the Art of War 5-5. Matthew, this is a disaster. We'd hoped that by proving it was Amon who killed Sanchez, the Khan would call off his attack on the Great Wall. Instead, Ogedai Khan slit Amon's throat, and his army will attack the wall at sundown. I still can't believe Amon is dead. All this time chasing after him, trying to undo his schemes. Seriously, seeing the Khan slit his throat without blinking an eye was sobering. It makes it clear that there's no way we can change his mind about the war. And thanks to the 18th century weapons Amon gave to the Mongolians, China doesn't stand a chance. It'll be obliterated just like Amon wanted. But they haven't lost yet. We can still try to help China hold its own. We need to seek out Tokiko Gojo to ask how we can help defend China from the Mongolians' attack. Matthew, I also need to talk to you. It's about Theo. Alright, Matthew, we know what we have to do. I'll let you go talk to Penelope, then we can see Tokiko Gojo together. Matthew, I figured out why Theo's arm didn't reappear after Sanchez's murder. Even if his ancestor, Princess Torgiljan, is no longer in love with the wrong man, she hasn't found the right man either, and with all the changes to the timeline, she may never meet him unless we put her back on the right track. I discovered Theo's ancestor was a Chinese soldier named Kong Wan Chun. The two probably met in peacetime, but as it turns out, this battle may work in our favor. Chances are, he's fighting on the Chinese side right now. We could make him meet Princess Torgiljan. I know it's a little mad to want to do this while war is looming, but we don't have a choice, Matthew. We won't get another shot at this. We better hurry and get to the Chinese camp before the battle starts. Ugh. Got it. Matthew, we must hurry. The Mongolian troops will attack the Great Wall in just a few hours. Bingo! The name on that chest you found, it's Kong Wan Chun, the Chinese soldier who should become Theo's ancestor. Maybe looking through the chest will help us find some common ground for Kong Wan Chun and Torgiljan to bond over. Let's dig in. Okay, had to check something real quick.
And there is. You found Kong Wan Chun's diary in the chest, Matthew. If we can learn what makes Wan Chun tick, we can orchestrate a meeting between him and Princess Torgoljin. And if our plan works, they'll fall in love and Theo will be out of harm's way for good. If anyone can get inside Kong Wan Chun's mind, it's Marina. I'll translate the diary and she'll interpret the contents. See you in a few hours, Matthew. Matthew, this battle is shaping up to be a disaster. My spies tell me that the Mongolians' weapons are like nothing we've ever seen before. And Emperor Lizong is beyond useless. He's refused to leave his tent since Ogadai Khan announced his attack. We'll do whatever we can to help. Just tell us what to do. I know you can enter the Mongolian camp without raising suspicion. So I need you to sabotage their gunpowder stocks. If their cannons are useless, we might have a chance of holding our own. You want us to sneak into the Mongolian camp and neutralize their gunpowder? I'm sure Matthew and I can manage that. I knew I could count on you, Matthew. Take this money as thanks and stay safe on the Mongolian side. There we go. Great, Matthew. This is the gunpowder. Now quick, let's get that padlock open before someone sees us. Matthew, let's get the Mongolians' gunpowder to the time machine before anyone sees us. I bet Kai can neutralize it. Alright, I'll see you guys when these two are done. For now, this is Matthew. Catch you later. And we've returned. Let's get the results of the diary from Marina first. Matthew, I'm glad you thought of me to look into this Chinese soldier's diary. It's been a while since I've seen you in my lab. We knew only you could figure out the key to Kong Wan Chun's heart, Marina. Tell Matthew what we discovered. Well, the diary provided a fascinating insight into the life of a Chinese soldier, but also yielded unexpected information. See, Kong Wan Chun loves kites, and as it turns out, it's a well-known passion of the princess too.
Matthew, I know what you're going to say. We're on the brink of war. This is no time to fly kites. But the Chinese used kites to measure the distance between them and their enemy. That way they knew how to calibrate the range of their catapults. Yes, the diary makes it clear Kong is in charge of this, on top of the Great Wall. He must be there right now. It doesn't hurt that stressful situations make human beings crave deeper connections. Which means this is the perfect time to organize a meet-cute between a Mongolian princess and a Chinese soldier. Just don't get carried away, Penelope. Love cannot be rushed, so you mustn't force the two to interact. Ideally, you'd find some small task for them to bond over. Be natural. Got it. Matthew, let's go convince Princess Torgojan to climb the Great Wall before the battle starts. Matthew, I want to thank you for finding Santiago's killer, and I'm glad it wasn't your friend. I must confess that I'd grown more fond of Santiago than I'd realized. Losing someone I cared for so deeply makes this war seem even more nonsensical. How many others will lose people they love just because of my father's ego? Princess, please believe Matthew is working on stopping this war. But in the meantime, will you accompany us up the Great Wall? We promise no harm will befall you. The Great Wall? I have always wanted to see the view from up there, and it'll be rubble in a few hours, if my father has his way. So yes, I'll join you, Matthew. Great, it's quite the climb, so let's grab a snack and head up to the Great Wall. The view is incredible, Matthew. I feel like I'm on top of the world. Look at the armies below. They seem so insignificant. Halt! What are you doing? It's you! You are Torgojan, the princess. I am Kong Wan Chun. It's a meet to honor you. I mean, an honor to meet you. Ooh. So this is where we're gonna see the kiss. The pleasure is all mine. I am sorry that our people are preparing for such a horrid war, but we all must play our parts. What is your duty? Actually, I came up here to check on the kites. Oh no, it seems this one got ripped to shreds. Oh dear. Well, not to worry. I really love kites, and I am sure we can fix this one with Matthew's help. Well, let's see. Last time it was, well, in Mysteries of the Past, it was Maddie and Charlie to punt.
Oh, there. Okay. Princess, the kite is as good as new. It's beautiful. I've always admired them from afar, but I've never had the chance to fly one. Maybe I can show you how? Oh, well, I am not sure. The battle will start soon, and we are on opposite sides. I shall not help battle against a nation which gave birth to such a wonderful woman, Princess. Come, I will keep you safe. Matthew, I think this is our cue to leave. Well, so it's not going to be the one. Okay. Matthew, Princess Torgoljin and Wang Chun might be on different sides of this war, but that certainly didn't seem to bother them. I doubt the romance between Theo's ancestors will be enough to convince Ogadai Khan to call off his attack. But hopefully it'll be enough to make Theo reappear. I'll go check on Theo. Theo, see you later, Matthew. Now, gunpowder from Kai. Matthew, I'm so glad not to be suspected of murder anymore, and to be back with Theo and Zara. But back to business. I know that fixing the damage Amon did to the timeline hinges on sabotaging the Mongolian forces. Yes, only by weakening the Mongolians can we hope to save China from obliteration. So did you manage to neutralize the Mongolians' gunpowder? Yes, by submerging the gunpowder in water, the ammonium nitrate becomes separated from the fuel, making it extremely difficult to ignite. The gunpowder should be completely ineffective when the Mongolians try to use it. You know what, Matthew? Let's go tell General Subutai ourselves that its perfect gunpowder is ready to be used. What is it, Matthew? We're busy lining up the cannons to attack the Great Wall once night falls. But our gunpowder has disappeared. I suspect the Chinese are behind it. No, you're quite mistaken. See, somebody had misplaced the gunpowder, but we're here to return it to you. Aha! Amon may have been a traitor, but at least his military knowledge ensures our victory. The Chinese won't stand a chance against us and our cannons. Here, take this as thanks for your help, Matthew, and get yourself to safety. All hell is going to break loose soon. Matthew, look at me. I'm back to normal. Does this mean you've managed to make Princess Torgoljin fall in love with the right man? Well, I saw the princess and Wang Chun walk away from the battlefield together. It seems like the start to a great love story. Good thing they did. Ogadai Khan launched its attack on China an hour ago. Tokiko is leading the Japanese troops masterfully, being a true ally to China. And what we did to the cannon powder has indeed crippled the Mongolians. Unfortunately, I doubt this will be enough. Matthew, I need to talk to you. Matthew, despite our efforts to give China a fighting chance against Ogadai Khan and the Mongolian army, Amon's gloating was absolutely correct. He's simply done too much damage to the timeline for us to repair it. I've been poring over the history books, looking at everything we've fixed, but our mere presence in these eras has caused irreparable damage. If we return to 2029 right now, heaven knows what we'd find. Sure, perhaps the Ptolemies wouldn't be in power, but for all we know, the United States could be a desert or a post-apocalyptic wasteland. I hate to say it, but we can't put a bandage on a gunshot wound and hope for the best. But what are we supposed to do? We can't have done all this for nothing. We can't just drift around in time for the rest of our lives. There is one solution, but it's never been attempted before, and it's incredibly risky. We need to go back to the last point in history when our timeline was still intact, 47 BCE. You mean back to our first investigation into Caesar's murder? Precisely. That was when we first met Nebbit and when Amon sabotaged our time machine, stranding us in time. If we can go back and stop them, the rest will never happen. Amon will never have the chance to manipulate the timeline, and the Ptolemies will never rise to power. But this has never been done before, and with good reason. One of time's fundamental rules is never to send agents back to the same point in time twice. What if we run into our former selves, investigating Caesar's murder? It could cause a time paradox that... We all know the dangers, but there's no other way. Alright, listen. I'll authorize this mission on one condition. We get out of 47 BCE Egypt as fast as possible. We find Nebbit and Amon, arrest them, and leave. Understood? Yes, Chief. I'll brief the others on the way. Whoosh. Well... Four. I do not think that next victim is one of our crew members, but we'll see. So October 10th, which is another Thursday. Since I have the time. So as mentioned, next case is on Thursday, October 10th. Four new ones. Alright, but we got one more case in Travel in Time. And as mentioned, that will be Thursday, October 10th. So for now, this is Matthew. Thank you for watching and join us for the season finale. So long, everyone.